I'd like to share some insights with you about the Gene Keys profile. If you're interested in the Gene Keys, one of the things you may have discovered is your Gene Keys profile, hologenetic profile. And you may be journeying with that in all kinds of ways because we've opened up a whole playground to explore these profiles. But what I want to say today is, what if your profile were wrong? What if it were wrong? What if your parents gave you the wrong birth time, birth date, and you had different numbers and different keys, and you were exploring something that actually isn't related to your birth time at all? What if that was the case? And it's interesting for me because actually I had that experience because I was involved in another system, human design, and it turned out that for many years I had the wrong birth time, and I was thinking about myself in a certain way, and then my father found an old diary which had my correct birth time in, and then so I redid my human design chart, and I was a completely different kind of person according to human design. But I'd been thinking about myself in a certain way, and it had changed my reality. So it changed my reality again, but it double changed my reality because at that point I begun to let go a little bit of the structure of the profile and play with it. And that's, that was with human design. Now, obviously, I want to apply the same thing to the Gene Keys. And I want to encourage each of you to hold your profile lightly and to play with it. Now, that doesn't mean you have to, discard it or see it as like incorrect or anything like that, because there are alignments that are deep in the profile that are embedded that have a resonance to us because of when we were born and those things, and there's a real authenticity and you can see those patterns. But I want to open up your minds a little bit so that you don't get too fixated on it. I get a lot of questions about the profile. What happens if I have 2 planets in this area, or this gene key twice or 3 times, and and all those kind of questions I receive. Like I'm supposed to know the answer because I came across the profile, I innovated it, invented it, I received it, but I don't know the answers to most of those questions any better than you do. I have to then go and use my intuition to discover what the answer is. But the same thing, you can do the same thing. It's a playground. It's a playground for us to explore. And at a certain point, we can drop the profile. At a certain point, deep in our journey, when the resonance of those higher frequencies are deeply embedded in us, we can let it go. And we need to bear that in mind all along. At the beginning, yes, dive deep into it, identify with it, play with it, learn from it, explore it, share it, but always maintain that view that one day you can let this go. And you can enter into the Gene Keys in other ways as well. You don't have to use this profile which tells you this and this and this. The whole field of the Gene Keys, all 64 of them, is available inside us. And there are other routes into the matrix. The Dream Arc, another route in, for example, invites you to through the animal realm. So every Gene Key is related to an animal or a bird or an insect. And those animals or birds or insects that we're interested in, that we feel drawn to, I invite you in the Dream Arc to trust in that. So in other words, you find your path through the creature, through the creature first. So let's say I was attracted to a dragonfly, and they always show up, and I love them, and they're around me all the time. Then I know that's related to the 55th Gene Key, and I really want to explore the 55th Gene Key because this symbol's followed me my whole life. I dream about it. It's like one of my things. I've got them all over my wall at home or whatever. That means you have a deep resonance with that Gene Key, right? Because it relates to the dragonfly. But you might not have it in your profile. Doesn't matter. So there are other ways into the matrix, is what I'm saying, which means that we ought to hold the matrix lightly. and we explore it. And be careful when you say, I am a this, I am a that. You know, we already have many of those in life. I am a husband, I am a father, I am a wife, I am gay, I am a man, I am all these things. We have all these I ams. We don't really want to add too many more. So be careful when we do that. You know, I am a this. But what you could say perhaps is, I have this theme in my life. I seem to have this theme of conflict, you know, peace. I have this theme of, you know, silence. I'm drawn to silence, you know, or addiction, you know, and I'm working on that rather than, you know, I'm a this, I'm a that. So hold it lightly, enjoy it, play with it, love it, then let it go.